Hi, I'm Kevin Halloran, North Branford's police chief. Previously, I was the chief of police in Branford for 8 years before taking this position in May of 2019. Last month, we held an open house so people in the community could see the poor condition of the police department and to show the need for a new police facility. Approximately 60 to 70 people toured the building, and by the responses after the tour and on social media, it appears that quite a few people are in support of a new police department. The open house was organized quickly, was not advertised very well, and many people didn't know about it who would have come. So we're having another open house on February 9th. I was asked to create this video to inform the community members who can't make it to an open house so that they can see the condition of the building. Here's a brief history concerning the evolution of this project. This is based on information I was given by other officers, police commissioners, town council members, and documentation that I've located within the police department. The North Branford Police Department project has been in consideration for as many years as far back as 2006. This effort was based on the realization that the current police facility has experienced deteriorating conditions, which I will outline in this video. The committee set out to analyze multiple options to provide the best solution to the issue. The first considerations were either expansion or renovation of the current facility, or a broader option, the development of a town center, with the police facility being the flagship building. In 2017, after several years of debate, approximately $20,000 was spent on a feasibility study and proposal completed by a consultant to renovate and expand the current building. No action was taken as a result of this study. According to the town's finance director, $63,500 has been spent on the project since the last study, totaling $83,500. Expenditures on the project include, but are not limited to, architectural drawings, soil testing, land surveys, grade elevations, and measurements. Upon my arrival in May of 2019, the North Branford Police Department and Town Center Advisory Committee had already dismissed the idea of expansion and renovation and was well into the planning stages of a new facility. They had already determined that the cost to expand and renovate would be comparable to a new facility. Additionally, renovation and expansion would also present other challenges and added costs due to the displacement of employees to temporary offices, and it would also require entering into agreements with other towns to use their facilities for housing and processing arrestees. Now that I've given you a brief background of events that have occurred, let's look at the current status of the proposed project. My understanding is, recently the conversation has changed. The dialogue is now what to do with the police department. Should the town expand it and renovate it, build a new police facility, or do nothing at all? At the town council meetings in November, there appeared to be some confusion whether or not the funds listed in the capital improvement plan of the town budget were actually voted on by the town council. The discussion was brought up again at a subsequent meeting where it was revealed that the project was actually not formally voted on by the town council. Therefore, the entire project needs to be in an adopted capital improvement plan for bonding purposes and moving forward. The minutes of the meeting reflect that the cost of a new police building may be closer to $7 million. To make an informed decision, I believe you should have access to the building and make your own assessment. We created this video because we realized that not everybody could get here for an open house, and hopefully this will help. We will be offering another tour of our police department on February 9, 2020 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Let's take a look at your North Branford Police Department. The North Branford Police Department was built in the mid-1970s. It was a one-story with a basement building with a flat roof. In the mid-1990s, they did an expansion and renovation to the building as it looks today. What they did was they went above, they put a new roof on it, went above the flat roof that was there. The shingles that are on the building right now were the original shingles put up in 1995, so the shingles are at their end of life. The parking lot, as you can see, there's a lot of cracking, patch failures, and upheaving in the parking lot over in that area. Over there you can see that the asphalt is actually disintegrating. All right, so we'll start from the left-hand side of the building as you're viewing it. You know, as you're driving down 22 and you look at the police department, as you're driving about 45 miles an hour, at first look, you would say, hey, it doesn't look too bad. But when we get a little bit closer, you'll see the problems that the building has. The doors on the building are actually rotting away. The doors need to be replaced. The windows on the outside, they're basic residential windows, double pane windows, that the seals are broken. When we get inside, we'll be able to show you the fogging inside of the windows. There's drafts that are coming through the windows. So these are all things that at one point in time are going to have to be replaced. Moving into the main entrance of the police department, you'll see that the sidewalk is also deteriorating. There's cracks and disintegration, which are trip hazards. As we move up a little bit closer, you'll see the railings are all starting to rot away. The paint is peeling off. It's actually not even sunk into the cement. So this is a hazard. If somebody leans on this, there's a potential for that railing to just fall right over. We'll move into the front lobby. Moving into the front lobby, it's very uninviting. You can see that the floor is coming up. It's a small area. Typically, this is where officers would interview people. The issue with that is there's not very much privacy here. So potentially, you could be in here expressing to the officer some of the issues that you're having, the problems that you're having, and there could be other people sitting here. One of the main problems with this police department and many municipal buildings is they never build them big enough. There's not enough space. This particular building does not have a designated interview room. It's difficult to find out where the dispatchers are or who to speak to. This is the small window that you would speak to a dispatcher to request an officer to come and take your complaint. Yeah. Another thing that you'll notice in this lobby is that there are no restrooms, public restrooms. If somebody comes in and needs to use the restroom, we have to bring them into the police department itself, which is typically a secure facility. As you walk through the front door, this is an area that we just created. This used to be where the chief secretary used to sit. We made a workstation for the officers to do reports. It also doubles as a space for the officers to interview people outside of the lobby. However, again, not a very private area. As you can see, the dispatch center is right behind me. The dispatcher could overhear your complaint. A lot of times complaints are sensitive in nature, so it's not a very private area. I think that when people come to the police department, they should be able to feel comfortable filing their complaints and not have other people listening into their complaints. Just behind me is our IT room, or information technology room. This is where our computers are housed, our servers, and our radio system. When we go in, you'll see that it doesn't even come close to meeting requirements for a server room. Once inside the server room, you'll see that it has become a storage room. As I mentioned before, municipal buildings don't have enough space for storage, but we have 1970s, vintage 1970s radio equipment in here. And this area over here houses our CCTV, as well as our servers that handle our CAD RMS, or computer-aided dispatch records management system. If you look up at the ceiling, you can see that ceiling tiles are missing. There's no fire suppression in here. The temperature control is being handled by two air conditioning units, one which is a air conditioner unit inside the window, and the other is a wall-mounted air conditioning unit. The problem with this is that an IT room should not have a window in it. If we have a major storm and the window blows out, we lose our total infrastructure throughout the town of North Branford, our communications, as well as our computer systems. Okay, so we're entering our communication center. We have Diane Ramsey on dispatch today. Some of the issues that we have in the dispatch area is, again, quality of air. We have a wall-mounted air conditioning unit There are floor vents that are loaded with dust and mold. The equipment that we have in here, the console to the right, is an old console that was taken out of an old police department. You can see that the floors are coming up in here. Just not a very conducive working environment for somebody that has to spend 8 hours a day in here. So just beyond the dispatch center is our records department. As you see, there's only one window for the police department for the public to come to, and it could be very disruptive to the dispatcher if somebody comes to the window requesting records from the records department, and they're literally just kind of climbing over to dispatcher while they could be taking 911 calls. So it could be very, very difficult to concentrate while she's doing her job, or any of the other dispatchers. So just on the back side of the dispatch center is a little area for the dispatchers. They have their locker, some file storage. Interestingly enough, they have another one of these double pane windows in the dispatch area. Really, it's unsafe. The dispatch area, if I hadn't mentioned that initial greeting window is a bulletproof window. This is just a regular double pane window, so it provides absolutely no protection for the dispatchers. Moving just beyond the dispatch center is our records division. Okay, so now that we're in the records room, again, you'll see the issue is enough room for storage. There clearly is not enough room for storage in this room. I don't think you need to make that very long.
No.
Okay. All right. On my right is the detective division. You can see it's tight quarters in here. There's nowhere for the detectives to interview suspects or complainants. Just a very tight spot. Okay, we'll move on down the hall. To my right is the deputy chief's office, and to my left is my administrative assistant's office. Straight behind you is my office, and we'll see that in a little bit. Okay, so just beyond my office, down the hallway a little bit, we have a conference room here. We use this is a multi-purpose room. We use it for our police commission meetings, our roll call, any training that we have. This room is also utilized for certain interviews. Certain interviews are required to be recorded, video recorded, and I don't know if you can see it in the ceilings. We have a couple video cameras that are strategically placed so that officers could interview those people. The problem with that is it's not a locked room. It's a room that anybody could walk in at any time. We've had cases where you would be interviewing, let's say, a sexual assault suspect or victim, and people just walk right in during the interview. All right. Okay, so we're back at the front of the building at the main entrance, the employee entrance, the dispatch center to my left, the work area for the officers to the right. A little bit further to my right is a stairwell that goes downstairs. It's our only way to get up and downstairs. There is no elevator in this building. Creates problems with people with handicaps that can't get up and down the building. Sometimes we'd have to bring people, drive them around the back and bring them in through the back door. If they come in and turn themselves in for, let's say, an outstanding warrant at the police department. So we'll take a look at downstairs. Okay, again, this is the stairwell going downstairs. It's pretty dangerous. We've had officers slip and fall on these stairs. And again, if we're dealing with somebody that might be combative that turn themselves in, you could see how dangerous this stairwell could be. Okay, good. Okay, so we're downstairs. This is the men's locker room. So if you're looking at the front of the building, it would be to the far right of the building in the basement floor. You can see it's very tight quarters. We have 23 police officers in North Branford, and these are their lockers. They're very small. They're not big enough to keep all their equipment in, their uniforms. As you can see over here, they have stuff hanging on the outside. It's very unkempt. Duty bags on the floor. It's just a very tight area. A couple weeks ago I was in here and there were 3 officers changing and getting ready for work at the same time, and it was a very tight squeeze. Just beyond me on the other side is the shower and restroom area. This area has in the past flooded from the septic backing up. We have septic problems with the building, so it's a very unsanitary area. The problem down here is that, and you'll see in a second, the shower facility, I wouldn't want to use it, nor do I think anybody else does. Again, the septic backs up through the drainage. There is no area for an officer to clean up if he gets exposed to biohazard fluids. So there's no shower facility, there's no eye wash facilities. Let's say the officer gets contaminated by pepper spray, there is nowhere for the officer to clean up. The other thing that was just brought up in a staff meeting was if the officer does get exposed to bodily fluids, I learned that they are taking their uniforms home and cleaning them at home, commingling them with their own personal laundry, therefore possibly contaminating their own washing machines. So we have to make provisions for biohazard cleanup for the officers. Just beyond me is the ladies' locker room, which is nothing more than a converted restroom. Because we have a female officer, we had to provide a space for her to change. As you can see, it's a very, very small, tight area. In the future, we could be hiring more female officers. I can't imagine 2 female officers sharing this space to change and get ready for work. In the future, I could see that we might have issues with gender-neutral bathrooms or locker rooms that we might be required to have. So these are just areas, and you could see as we go through, there's really no flow to this police department. It's kind of like a maze trying to get to different areas. To the right of me is the patrol supervisors or the patrol sergeants' offices, and we'll take a walk down there. So we have 6 patrol supervisors, or sergeants I should say. We have 3 desks. They share the desks, very tight area. So if a sergeant wants to console a patrolman about their work, it's really not a very inviting area. Very tight, limited space. So in the same hallway as we have our sergeant's offices, to the left of me is another computer room. I was amazed to see that we're storing our 911 telephone server system in this server room behind me. It's also cooled by a wall-mounted air conditioning unit. Actually, I believe this may have been closets in the past. There's actually another server on the side, other side of this. If you come through here, so I'm back in the sergeant's office, and behind this door over here, again, you can see that they're storing their stuff wherever they could. We have more servers back here. Again, proper cooling, static control. They actually had to put these servers up on blocks in the past. You can see the newer server box has legs. They had to get it off of the ground. I'm sorry, did I get the paper in front of there? They had to get the servers off of the ground because of the flooding from the septic backing up. It would actually seep underneath the floor because the men's locker room is on the other side of this wall. So we're at the bottom of the stairwell. When you come down the stairs, it leads right into the what we call the day room. This is a multi-function room. This room we use, the officers will have their meal break. They will do reports. They do a lot of scheduling down here. You can see behind me workstations for doing reports, as well as charging stations for their portable radios and mobile video cameras. Okay. So on the back side of the day room is our mechanical room, which houses several furnaces. If you come in, you take a look, you have to be careful because there's ventilation. You might hit your head. But if you look at our mechanical room, we have three boilers. We have a hot water heater over here. There's wires all over the place. We have extension cords on the floor. A lot of work that needs to be done in here. These boilers, from what I understand, are at the end of their life. Exposed panels. It would probably cost close to, from what I understand, close to $90,000 just to replace the mechanicals in here. You can see all the wires above you, which I don't think is too safe. Okay. Okay, so just behind me is the detention center, or the jail cells, the evidence room, the booking processing room, and it's not uncommon when people get released from jail that they walk them right through this area where an officer might be having lunch or doing a report. So it's a really dangerous condition to have that. Okay, we'll go through. Okay, so coming out of the day room, we're going to walk into the detention area. I don't know if you could catch it on the camera, but we have a line here. This is where the new expansion was in 1995. Anything to my right. To my left is the old jail cells. We don't use these cells anymore because of suicide issues. People could easily hang themselves on these bar cells. In the new expansion, we have suicide-proof cells, which we use. We converted one of the cells to an armory where we store our patrol rifles and other weapons. As you can see, we have issues with humidity down here. Things rust. We're running dehumidifiers to try to keep the mold down. Okay, so as I exit that first set of cells that we no longer use, on my right is a gun cleaning and storage area. Just a little further down is a evidence room, which is very small. We can't store any large objects in here, but if we come into here, to my left, these are the newer cells. These are suicide proof. You'll see there's no bars on the doors and a window for the officer to look to see what the prisoner is doing. The issue with these cells is that the plumbing is starting to go in it. You can see that they're starting to rust away, the toilet and sinks. I know from my previous job we just replaced similar units to that, and each one of those units costs about $4,000. So just beyond the detention center, so if you're looking at the front of the building, we're now on the far left side, almost to the far left side of the building. This is our processing room, or a booking room as they call it. The officers would bring in the prisoner from the sally port, bring them through this door, and a sally port is nothing more than a garage, a secure area where officers could pull in and get the prisoner out of the car. This is a dangerous area. We shouldn't have things such as loose chairs down here. There should be chairs bolted to the floor or metal chairs bolted to the wall, which is unsafe. This is where we would process somebody for DUI. We also fingerprint people in this room. This is our DUI testing station here. This is where we would fingerprint somebody. Again, freestanding chairs. You can see that the chairs are in bad shape. This is a concern over here, these lockers. These lockers double as evidence lockers, as well as lockers for property for people that we arrest while we detain them in the cells. We shouldn't really be commingling those items together. All right. So going out into the sally port. Okay, so this is the area that I talked about that an officer would drive a car in to remove a prisoner from the car. But as you can see, it has become a storage area for different items just because there's not enough space in the building to store certain items. Hopefully I could get back into this room back here. All right, so it's a little bit of a tight squeeze in here. You could see that there are records all over the place. I see some boxes over here from 2002, filing cabinets. We have some equipment up on the shelves in here. But the thing of concern is behind you, you'll see that there's a water heater, and if that water heater were to bust, I'm sure that it could probably spill water out in here for quite a while before we even realize that it's spilling. All these records in here would most likely be damaged. So, like I said, it's not a very good environment to store records. So as I mentioned before, there's mechanicals all over the place for this building. There's another furnace in this outside shed. I'm assuming that they put this furnace out here when they did the expansion and renovation to the police department in 1995. Again, at its life's end, probably close to 25, 30 years old. I can't believe this. Okay, so I'm in the back of the building now. This is the emergency generator that we have that powers the building should we lose electricity. I've been told that it's probably from the 1970s when the building was originally built. It's a single point of failure for the town of North Branford. If we lose power and this generator doesn't kick on, we lose all communications, radio communications. We lose the ability to dispatch cars. We would have to actually uproot and set up communications in another location. We use other police departments. The plan is already in place. However, there would be some downtime to move the operations to a new location. So looking at the back of the police department, again, if you look up at the roof, you could see that there are some shingles starting to pop up. This roof needs to be replaced, a high-cost item. You can see the windows on the back, they're actually rotting away, the two up in the left-hand corner over there. The doors are rusting. The parking lot itself, again, the patches are failing, the asphalt is disintegrating in certain spots. You could see over by the what's supposed to be a security gate where the asphalt is actually disintegrating. This area back here should be a secure area in the event that we have any evidence that needs to be stored back here so the general public cannot come back and forth. You can see that the fence is falling down. Needs to be repaired or replaced. I believe it's probably been here since the mid-90s. And again, for some reason, we have a farm of air conditioning units here. Thank you for taking the tour of the North Branford Police Department. Hopefully this video has helped you to have a clearer understanding as to why North Branford needs a new police facility. Just to recap, regardless if a new building is built or not, there are many issues that I've talked about that are going to require attention in the near future. Many of these items are at their end of life, including the roof, the furnaces, the air conditioning systems, and the emergency generator. Additionally, the parking areas need to be repaved, the fence and security gate need to be repaired, the septic system needs to be replaced, and the locker room should be remodeled with provisions for biohazard cleanup and future concerns including gender-specific requirements. The prisoner booking area needs to be made safe, and additional space needs to be built to store evidence as well as records. The IT room should be brought up to code, including temperature control and fire suppression, and consideration should be taken to cover our police vehicles for inclement weather. As you have seen, there are many issues with the existing police building that affect the health and/or safety of the staff as well as visitors. This is the town's emergency operations center, which can be a single point of failure in the event of a severe storm crippling our emergency communications. The most important thing to me is our staff and the community. This town deserves an up-to-date, state-of-the-art facility where people will feel comfortable visiting with issues that may be personal. We look forward to seeing you in person at our next tour on February 9, 2020 at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you have any comments or suggestions for the North Branford Police Department and Town Center Advisory Committee, feel free to email me at halloran@nbpolicect.org or send a letter to Chief Kevin Halloran, North Branford Police Department, 260 Forest Road, Northford, Connecticut 06472. Please be sure to leave your name and contact information if you would like follow-up conversation. Thank you.